So servant leadership is what brought me to Datron. That's what made me want to apply here. A friend of mine sent me a brochure of what servant leadership was, and I was in a power down, power model structure of leadership that I've been familiar with my whole career. And when I saw that, it just looked so exciting, I had to apply.
Servant leadership to me means inspiring, equipping, and helping others. And there's so many wonderful ways to do that.
How can I support them in their daily environment? I can listen, I can smile as we walk down the hallway, I can be of support, and I can also ask for help when I need help if I'm having some difficulty, because there's no fear in how somebody's going to look at me if I ask for help.
Servant leadership means to me that my values and the values of Datron are in alignment. It is especially important in my role in human resources that what is right for the employee is also in line with the values of the organization. It definitely makes my job easier, as well as it helps me feel like I'm doing the right thing. I can look at our values and know if what I'm doing is in line with our values and that it's helping the employee, then it's what's right for Datron.
Well, from the onset, Datron World Communications is very clear that our culture is very important to us. It's all over our walls. Our mission and purpose is there, and so it's all over every day for us.
We have an incredible mission to inspire and equip those we influence to make a difference in the world, a positive difference. So this inspires people, this engages people, this is employee engagement at its finest here, because people know they matter, and it's a caring environment. That people feel they matter, their opinion matters, the work they do makes a difference to accomplish this big mission we have.
The teams at Datron tend to be very cooperative teams. Everyone works together and helps each other. When I've been at other companies, there's been much more of a dynamic of competitiveness sometimes, sometimes not to the betterment of getting a job done. So the teams here work together. They work actually outside of their own organizations. They'll go seek help.
So it's completely different than a traditional organization, and it's noticeable from the onset that there's certain things you can do here that you're not used to doing at a traditional company. And it's a great feeling of empowerment. And it gives you a lot of responsibility and authority, and it really makes you feel like you're contributing and that you've made a difference.
Here there's a lot more focus on how we do it, right? So there's okay, you did it, but did you do it, driving your team till they were so tired they couldn't, get up in the morning, or they couldn't be with their family. So for me, the biggest difference was, because I've been lucky enough to work with some pretty good companies, and that's the biggest difference. It's really, there's a lot more focus on how you get those results.
I've been at other organizations where servant leadership was talked about and it was supposed to be a part of the culture, but I found that when times got hard, whether it was a financial issue or employee issues, that those values disappeared really quickly. So what I've noticed at Datron is we've been through our ups and downs, but the servant leadership culture has stayed throughout those ups and downs. Whether good times or bad, people still refer back to the servant leadership teachings that we've learned and the trainings we've been through. And I think in difficult times, we rely on them even more to help us guide our behaviors.
In the 13 years that I've been here, the changes that I've seen have been absolutely monumental. The level of trust that you can see around the building with the employees now is so much higher than it ever had been. You can tell that people are happy with their jobs, with their surroundings, with the people that they work with. You can just see it when you walk by people in the hallways now. So I think it's been an amazing change, at least here.
The one that impacted me the most was the listen to understand. That one, I think, is probably hardest for everyone, and it's the biggest epiphany when you hear of it, because you really, I think it's human nature that you're constantly listening to respond, and you're not really getting the gist of what the person is trying to get through and across to you, and you're really not seeing it from their point of view when you're listening to respond instead of listening to understand. And that has changed so much of how I lead my team, and also at home as well.
I am fascinated by the concept of trust associated with servant leadership. I see that all the time in my work experiences, and I try to give trust and extend trust to others, and have others trust me by me completing and doing the things that I said I was going to do.
And also having kids, it's really helped me. Am I adding value to them when I'm giving them feedback? Am I trying to put myself in their shoes? Am I having the conversations that may not be easy with them? Just because of the topic or the nature, I know they're not going to respond well. Am I being direct anyways with my kids and having those courageous conversations?
So the tool of listening to understand has helped me, be more receptive to other people's experiences and their wisdom on a certain topic, and kind of take that into account and synthesize that into my perspective. And the same thing at home with my family, with my girlfriend. It's listening to what they're trying to tell me, as opposed to just waiting for my turn to speak. So listening to understand has been the most important tool in this journey so far.
When you walk the wall, you see hundreds of amazing thank you letters and photos, and it brings to life what our Charitable Fund does. And it also is a reminder that each and every employee here at Datron positively impact helping those different nonprofits that sent us those thank you letters.
I love when we have the charitable acknowledgments on the wall. We get to walk in every day and see the impact we make on people's lives, and it gives us life and vibrancy when we come to work and we want to accomplish, not only for the customer, but we get to see the results of the charitable donations, and it ranges from sending somebody to camp to providing wheelchairs.
It does instill in me a great sense of pride and an understanding that I'm with an organization that does not only make profit their only motivation, and they've really put their money where their mouth is.
From a personal standpoint, being able to make grant requests for different organizations that are near and dear to my heart for monetary amounts that I probably would never be able to do on my own, and see those get granted, as well as see the thank yous from those organizations about how that grant helped them improve the lives of others, is just really amazing, and something that I don't think it can be matched.
When you walk down the hallway and you see that, you remember why we do what we do here and why it's special and what we're working hard for, and it reminds you of the difference you are making at this company, and that means a lot to me here.
For me, it's a good daily reminder. Just walking through, it reminds you of what we're doing for everyone else and the community and around the world.
It reminds me that I'm not just working for myself, that what we do here at Datron World Communications has an impact across the street and around the world.
And they're usually when people don't think anyone's watching. And that's really the beauty of this sometimes from servant leadership, is watching it play out when they don't think anyone's watching, and you see someone's true nature.
My former boss was actually a very big inspiration to me in my journey with servant leadership. When we started together, we didn't have servant leadership, and she was just a natural servant leader. As she's now grown and she's taken on a role in the Servant Leadership Institute, I find that she continues to be a source of inspiration and mentoring for me. So I aspire going forward with my employees and my peers, and even up to management and the VPs, that I try to continue to grow in that. And whenever I feel like I'm slipping, I always have the means to go back to her.
The servant leaders who inspire me the most are probably those individuals who are not currently serving in a role as supervisor or manager or director. These are people who are leading in the role that they do have, and in some marvelous ways. They are encouraging others. They are bringing attitudes towards goals that are really leading out.
So servant leadership has really helped me to be a better father, better husband, have better relationships with my family on a personal level. You know, being able to apply the principles of servant leadership to every situation that's going on in your family really helps resolve those issues without tempers flaring and egos getting in the way.
I wouldn't say that it's changed my life. I'd say servant leadership has enhanced my life. You know, I came from a family that did a lot of volunteering and a lot of serving, and I think being in a servant-led organization just expands on that. It's made me a better employee, it's made me a better manager, it's made me a better person. I have a little post-it on my desk that says, I am able, we are able. And it came from a conference that we had, and I just look at that every day and say, what can I do to help someone in the organization, or how can I be of value to someone in the organization?
I've learned to trust others more than I used to because I had been burned so many times that I just stopped. But I've gotten better at that. I've fought tooth and nail to be a better listener and to not open my mouth before I think about a response. It's a work in progress, but we're getting there.
The recruiting process has been unique in that it's helped us not only pick the best qualified, experienced person, but it helps us pick someone who is a good fit to our culture. Not only do they fit our culture, but they like the idea of working for a servant leadership company. They're excited about it, they're enthralled about it. They come here with an expectation that it's going to be better than a regular company. So I think it's been very useful in picking the right candidate for the position, and when they come in here, they're a great fit. They like it here, and that's because we did a great job at recruiting them.
I personally look at company fit much more than I ever did before. So it's a much more important factor to me today than it was in the past.
It was different from other places in that it didn't seem so rigid and structured, like there was not a list of questions that was being asked by each one of the participants. It was a little bit more free-flowing, as though the people wanted to know that you would fit into the culture as much as you would fit into being able to conduct the work.
Oh my gosh, it's made such a big difference in our recruiting process. Number one being we use a team of people, which is very helpful. So it's not just one person making this decision and hoping the new employee is a good fit, both technically and from a character standpoint. You're getting feedback from your peers who are going to be working with this individual in different ways. Even if there's just one person on that team who has concerns, we take the time to talk through those concerns and maybe even have a follow-up interview with the candidate to ensure that not only are they a good skill fit for the position, but more importantly, that they're a good character fit, because we've seen what happens when they're not. And I appreciate that Datron puts the importance on the character of the people we bring to the organization, because it impacts everyone's happiness and productivity.
I feel it's really strengthened Datron and its culture, the way we've hired based on the servant leadership values and principles and the company's values. And it brings the kind of people we're looking for to the company, because they tend to know who Datron is because of the servant leadership. It's, you know, it's a small community in San Diego, business community. It's not as large as other big cities, and people have heard about Datron and they want to work here. So it also helps us attract talent, even though we're a small business, I found. So
it's part of our language when we have one-on-one meetings with our folks. It's language that is used when we have our all-company meetings. You know, over time, as a leader in this company, sometimes the best thing you can do is step aside and allow your folks to grow.
Well, I think probably the biggest factor in ensuring that the culture will continue is in my own behavior and being an example to other people. And also, you know, there's a language that goes along with servant leadership, and I think keeping that language alive is really an important way of ensuring that it continues.
So it starts with us. It starts with being a role model. So because we are role models, we've got to be mindful of that. We've got to be mindful of how we speak, how we act.
So for me, if you have a leader that's telling you to do one thing but not showing it themselves, it doesn't really reinforce what they're saying. So for me, I want to try and make sure that I am actually doing what I'm asking our team to do, right?
I think that sometimes people get a misconception about servant leadership as in it's an end goal, but it really is a journey. And we're all under construction as servant leaders, and we need to extend grace to each other. I think that it's very important that leaders encourage positive behavior, the behavior that models servant leadership, and give recognition to those instances and to those people that are modeling the servant leadership characteristics and behaviors that we wish to grow within the company.
It's not just coming to work every day and getting a paycheck. It's coming in here, making a difference, and seeing the results of what that is with the customers, the Charitable Fund, and how much you give and invest in your employees.
We are all leaders, even those who don't have a leadership role currently. Either we are a future leader or we're a leader in other areas. So there's always an opportunity to lead. Am I giving my people the things that they need? Tools, equipment, material, and more importantly, am I giving them my availability? Am I giving them my time so that they can do their job?
I need to get better on how I do things, and I need to be aware of what I'm doing and what I'm saying, because it does affect the team, it does affect other people. So for me, it's more being self-aware and seeing what I need to do to change and get better.
I began to change my view of work. And my view of work, instead of breaking rocks in order to earn a buck, work became more of quite honestly, a ministry. And how my small part of where I was could have impact in other people's lives and throughout the company. I had an opportunity to influence and interact with other departments, and for the better. So I found it more of a ministry opportunity than actually work. So it changed my whole view of what work's about.
I try to approach every situation with this, to answer this question: how am I adding value? Am I adding value to people's day in some way or other?
Basically lead from trust. So I assume that what someone's telling me is really the truth. I never assume someone's telling me something that's wrong on purpose. And I also believe that in their heart, they're trying to do the right thing. There's no bad motive to how they're talking to me. The motivations are always for the good of the company.
Now, I feel like I'm more empowering of the people and let them come up with the solutions to the problems and go out and attack those problems on their own. And of course they can come to me for advice, but I don't feel like I have to direct every aspect of what they're doing. I give them that creative freedom to come up with the same and even better results than if I would have done it the other way around.
I think that servant leadership makes me a better person and makes me stop and think when I have interactions with people and relationships with people. How I'm being perceived on a day-to-day basis is really important, because if during a stressful time I'm not exhibiting good leadership behaviors, then what's the point? I think you have to be aware of how you're being received.
I've never seen a stronger team here at Datron, and I think it's all starts with servant leadership. It's all how we behave. It's how we interact with each other and treat each other. There's a lot of trust, and trust is something that is earned. And I think the good thing about the management team is I think they've earned it. I also have complete trust in the leadership that we have in our management team, particularly senior staff. Have complete trust in their ability and their intentions. And when you can say that about your senior leadership as well as the management team, you're in a good spot.